Hello, my name is Lucas, this is Bit of Lit, and I'm here to talk about Scythe, written by Neal Shusterman. It is the first in a trilogy that is a young adult science fiction trilogy, and I read it for work and had a great time talking about it with my students and thought it was really great, and definitely wish I would have had that kind of book when I was young, because it's got really cool concepts and has a lot of great action that my students really enjoy. Um, Scythe is a utopian future, so to speak, where nobody dies, everybody lives forever, nobody has to worry about getting ill or dying of illness, dying of the elements, dying from, I don't know, falling off a building or anything like that, because everybody lives forever because of the Thunderhead, which is an AI cloud benevolent force that controls everything and is essentially the government of the world. It has maximized efficiency and is, like I said, is benevolent and has developed technologies so advanced that people can live forever. Food can be delivered where it needs to be efficiently, medicine, and these kind of things. Infrastructure is built precisely, and these kind of things, these sort of advances serve humanity and make the world a better place. Which is great, fine, and dandy. However, we've got a big problem. We've got everybody living forever, and then everybody has children, and then everybody's children have children, and then everybody's children's children have children. And if everybody's not dying, and everybody's children are not dying, and everybody's children's children aren't dying, and so on and so forth, well, then you're going to have an overpopulation problem. In come the Scythes, which is a separate group that has no connection to the Thunderhead, because if it did, then people would fear the Thunderhead and not trust it, and then everything would fall apart. So the Scythes are a group of people who basically call the population. And they are not allowed, they have specific rules to make sure that it is fair and just and there's no bias and no kind of, you no sort of ethnic choices being made, or some where sides are trying to create an ethno state or anything like this, or trying to create a world purely of beautiful people, which one side gets in trouble for in the book. Or anything you can imagine. There are rules in place that are discussed every conclave. Gosh, I'm forgetting the word, but that are discussed a couple times a year, where all the sides meet and where they test new apprentices to be the new generation of scythes. Scythes do not die; they cannot be killed or gleaned, I suppose, except by themselves, because nobody is killed. The word they use is glean. Anyway, our introduction to this world comes through Citra Terranova and another character, Rowan. They are chosen as apprentices by Scythe Faraday, who is an extremely famous Scythe, who has his own methods of how to choose people at random using statistics from the age of mortality. And there's a big problem when they go to the first meeting, because Scythe Faraday has sort of broken an unspoken rule of only choosing one apprentice. Only one of them can survive. And the other one will have to, the one who becomes an apprentice, a full Scythe, not just an apprentice, if they can become a Scythe, which they have to pass some tests. But if they become a Scythe, then the other one has to be gleaned by the new Scythe. So they're both training to be Scythes, and then they're hit with this. But suddenly, shortly after, Scythe Faraday never wanted this, but suddenly he finds himself with a case of death. And that leaves a problem because he was the master to the two apprentices, and now they need new leaders, new teachers. Enter Scythe Curie, who is the Scythe to kill the last politicians, presidents, whatever. And she's quite famous too in her own right, extremely famous. And Scythe Goddard, who is a sort of fascist figure that Rowan is an understudy of, an apprentice to. And he has these wild ideas, and he's gaining a lot of popularity. But people like Faraday, or who is gone through after the middle of the book, spoilers, people like Curie really oppose this method that Goddard has taken for mass gleanings because it's quite extreme, and he's sort of breaking all other conventions. And not only that, but Scythe Goddard seems to have the high blade. Is it the high blade? The head of the sides, high blade, I believe, Xenocrates, under his thumb, which leads to a lot of tension and drama and confusion, especially when Citra gets the impression that maybe Scythe Faraday didn't glean himself, which is a big contention. I realize now I didn't say he gleaned himself, but it's believed he gleaned himself, but then Citra gets the idea that maybe he didn't. And with the emotions of Scythe Goddard and everything else going on, this rivalry that forms between Rowan and Citra, sort of, there's a bit of drama there that is quite engaging and really fun, because their new teachers have very different methods and they grow distant from each other. They were never really close. They seemed to work well together, but seemed to have some kind of tension with each other about what you don't seem to like me in any way. You're not interested in me in any way, romantically. And then suddenly at the end, there is this weird romantic element that comes out of nowhere, but that's my only real problem with it. I think the book is brilliant as a whole, and I don't want to spoil any more. I think it's got a lot of cool ideas about what the future of AI would be like, and what it would be like if people never died. There's also this really cool part of the book, the Tonists, who are these people who completely reject the world as it is and believe in natural death and this kind of thing. And they're the only sort of quasi-religious group that exists. I look forward to seeing what happens in the second book, Thunderhead, because there's a lot of interesting things that happen at the end, other than the romantic element. Don't get where that came from, because they were not really around each other. They were thinking about each other a lot the whole time, but not really in that way. I mean, it's clear they kind of started to care about each other, but it seemed like they were just friends, but that's okay. Anyway, I'm just rambling. It's a great book. I look forward to the next one. I think it's cool. Well done, Neal Shusterman. Thank you for writing. And let me know what you think of this book. Goodbye.